Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show, where we love to talk about food, drink, recipes, and techniques, and where to shop, taste, and play. Let's go. Everyone, it is almost May, and this month of April, we've been, enjoying spring brunches, and that continues. But we also have Mother's Day coming up. At the end of the month, we have, oh my gosh, Memorial Day, which kind of is the unofficial end of spring and launches summer, which means barbecue season. And of course, we cannot miss out on Cinco de Mayo, which isn't really celebrated in Mexico too much, but it is celebrated here in the United States, especially in the southern or the southwestern states. And who doesn't want a good excuse for a Cinco de Mayo party? So we've got Robert Schueller back here on the show from Melissa's Produce. So we're going to talk about what you can have at your table, what kind of ingredients, great snacks, and let's talk brunch. And you've got new products out. You always have new products out. So how are you doing?
Good. Thank you, Lisa, for having me back on the show today. I love coming back every quarter and talking about the exciting things that are in season. But, in spring here, we're heading into some big holiday and events there. You mentioned about Mother's Day, and that is a great time to show Mother how much you love her. And this is also a time where Melissa introduces a lot of new exciting items to complement the produce items that we regularly do. And one of the things that you can do something special for Mother's Day and show how much you love your mother are using Melissa's crepes and dessert sauces. Now,
Perfect.
crepes are a very thin, like pancake. They're French, European, and it's something that you would find next to usually the berries in your local produce department.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have these new dessert sauces. These
They're
dessert
yummy.
sauces are a complement to the what you can create as a crepe with some berries in it, or maybe some delicious Pixie tangerines that are in season. And we have these new gourmet dessert sauces. There's actually five different sauces. There's a strawberry, a wild cherry, pistachio, which is my favorite, caramel, and chocolate. Now, these new gourmet dessert sauces that we do, we've actually teamed up with a well known European French chocolatier called Fabry. And anybody who's in France and
Mm-hmm.
Italy and around that area, they really much know chocolatier Fabry. And we did a partnership with them, and you'll now see them in produce departments across the country, right next to the crepes that you can create for mom. You go to melissas.com, and we're going to give you a slew of some exciting crepe recipes that you can create with these.
I'm going to put that in the link in the episode notes, everyone. The crepes, every time we get Melissa's crepes, number one for us, because we travel full time, as you know, we're always somewhere different and we need something easy and quick. And these are super easy and quick, and everyone raves about them. In fact, we had a friend, and she likes to host parties. She's a party lady. And I was like, well, in fact, we've done quite a few cooking things with her, with Melissa's, actually, now that I think over the years. And we were in Durham, I think it was. And the crepes, her thing was, she said, she did some event with crepes and spent like a huge amount on some kind of crepes that were supposed to help her out and be quick and easy. And then she's like, hands down, Melissa's crepes when she didn't have to do much to them at all, and she did a stuffing of like sauteed vegetables. We use the shallots. Oh, can we just talk about the shallots? The shallots are my best friend now, and I
Yeah.
love the garlic, the shallots, all the onions that you guys have. There is a difference, and I mean it. Like, good onions and good garlic make all the difference in the world. But the shallots, the little the little onions, and I know now people are doing this big thing on pickling onions, the quick pickle onions that you can put on burgers. So think about that for Memorial Day burgers. Pickle your own onions. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I want to do this, Roger. I called you Roger again. I get a slap on the wrist. I did it. But anyway, I'm sorry. That happens. But you take onions and you slice them into rounds. You put them on parchment paper, bring on the Parmesan cheese, and you bake it, and you've got your own, high protein deliciousness of your own onion rings. And I think for a Mother's Day brunch, if you're doing like savory crepes, that would go really well. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. When you talk about shallots, they're like in their own, even though it's in the allium family, which is an onion, it's given its own name because it's such a refined variety. It's a
Mm,
just like a regular onion there. And yes, I think this is something elegant you can do for Mother's Day, or even you bring it to your Memorial Day barbecue. That adds a lot of flavor. And you talk about onions. Well, as you know, it is the springtime. So this is the time of the season you're going to see all the different varieties of
mm,
sweet onions out there.
ooh,
You might have your favorite, which is maybe a Vidalia from Georgia, or a Walla Walla from Washington, or an Oso sweet from Peru. Melissa's does perfect sweet onions. It is the onion you can create, saute, fry, make a bloom. These are onions that are
ooh.
sweet. And, sweet onions are typically more seasonal. There's only a few that are available on a year round basis, but springtime, which is pretty much now, April, May, June. It's the only time of the year to get all these different varieties and create something, whether it's for Mother's Day or even a burger
Mhm.
for your barbecues on Memorial Day weekend. So that's something to look forward to right now in the spring season of all these different sweet onions. But
Mm,
yes, the most refined of all the onions is the almighty shallot. And Melissa is really known
I love them.
for recipes. In fact, if you go onto melissas.com, I guarantee you'll find over 20 recipes using shallots in them to soup up your Sunday brunch or your Sunday dinner.
Omelets. So like, okay, so going back to the crepes, asparagus is really good, and you've got that wonderful cheese sauce now, and then the hollandaise sauce. If you saute a little of the shallots into that, it just adds this creamy. And I was talking about this with Chef Ivan Flowers on a show the other day, and I was saying, hey, we were talking about pizza parties, and I said, listen, can we start doing these onions, and can we start, you know, and anyway, we had a whole conversation about you say shallot, I say shallot, you say Robert, I say Roger. But, you know, and you can call me Liz. It's okay. But um, it there's just something about adding that in that sweet, and you can do them in a cream sauce. It will change a cream sauce from just creamy, but a little bit of cheese and a little bit of those shallots. There's a sweetness with that tartness with the cheese that oh yes. And it's good in Mexican food. So when we talk about Cinco de Mayo, get your onions out for that, because if you're making tacos or any of that, slice, you need the onions in there, right? And you want, fresh onions on top, not just cooking with the meat, but on top as a garnish is
Yeah, definitely.
fantastic.
Definitely.
Hmm.
And you bring up, another great item that you just spoke about for spring is asparagus. This is the
Ooh.
time of the year, even though asparagus is available on a year round basis, this is the time of the year where you can go into your local produce department, maybe even your farmer's market there, if the farmer's markets are opening now across the United States, usually around Memorial Day, that you can find not only your typical green asparagus, but purple and white asparagus. Melissa is
Mm,
really known for the purple and white. Yes, that is the color. So there's three different varieties of asparagus. The white has the most mild and most refined flavor. And yes, you can make, because when I first started talking about this conversation, I always refer to crepes as dessert. But Lisa, you're correct. You can actually, with Melissa's ready to go crepes, you can do a savory crepe with shallot,
mm,
with mushrooms, or with, of course, asparagus, and do something very elegant using
mm.
the hollandaise sauce or the cheese sauce. So you can make a savory dish and a dessert
Yeah.
all on the same day if you wanted to. They're using the Melissa's crepes there. But yes,
Mm,
using a combination of either sweet for dessert or you making the crepe into a savory dish using asparagus. I like to use mushrooms. You saute some
oh
mushrooms up, and of course, using shallots or your sweet onions and filling the crepe and rolling it up, and it's ready to go. You don't have to do any extra cooking because
yeah.
the the crepes are already literally ready to go, and you just peel them off the shades of like parchment
Hmm.
plastic, and you can make a simple, elegant meal for mom, or for even using it as a dessert for like Memorial Day.
I was going to say Memorial Day, after you've had a big barbecue, something very light and easy. You don't want to have to, the barbecue, there's a lot of work that goes into a barbecue, right? And especially for those who are barbecuing with a beer the excuse, right? To be at the grill with the beer the whole time, that you have to cook with beer. That was the excuse in South Africa anyway, when we lived there. But um, at the end of it, like, just to be able to do something very quick and easy and fresh with the berries, like you're saying, some ice cream, and then the chocolate sauce. Oh, I like that. I like that. I want to go back to your asparagus, because is this true that there's, like, you see the green ones, there's fat ones and skinny ones, and is that a difference in, like, I heard that was one is male, one's female, and I is that true? Do you know?
Well, not male, female. This is what it is. It's a matter of maturity. So
Oh,
food service, when they order asparagus, they order by size. So there's actually three sizes that you can get asparagus. Most often not, when you go to your local store, you're going to find the regular, common, medium-sized asparagus, which is a little bit bigger than a pencil. But they also do the really small, smaller than a pencil. They call them pencil, or thin asparagus. Thin asparagus, because it's so tender, and it's basically a matter of maturity. So
mm,
when it first sprouts, it's very thin. You can use that asparagus raw. You don't have to cook it. But as asparagus matures, most often than 90% of the time, it's cut at medium grade, which is a little bit bigger than the pencil size. And that is the
okay,
common green asparagus that you would find in your store. Now, if you keep them on the vine much longer, they get very stocky, very thick. Now, Lisa, I would use the thick ones, and you'll see the thick ones more in the summertime during the barbecue season, because those are the ones you
oh,
want to use on the grill. And they're
mm-hmm,
usually so wide that they won't fall through the grates on
okay,
your barbecue. But if your grates are really wide, I always recommend, when you barbecue your asparagus, is to use tin foil. But if you get usually around Memorial Day, 4th of July, and most of summer, you can also find the thicker ones. So really, it's a matter of
okay,
purity and grade.
mm.
From thinness, you can enjoy raw, to the really thick one, where the skin is a little bit thicker, so it can take the heat on an open grill in your backyard.
So the other thing, we're getting into the grilling, because sometimes Mother's Day is a barbecue, right? I know in California, a lot of
Yes,
times it's that. And you could start off with, people tend to come over, what, 11, so you could have some crepes, some light nibblies, right? And some fruit, like I know the grapes are coming out, the Muscato grapes that you have, that's a nice, fruit is really great to have at barbecues, at brunches. But when you talk about the barbecuing side of vegetables, you had those in. I remember that barbecue basket that we worked with had those big portobellos. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. So do you do other mushrooms too? I know we had the dry mushrooms, which I made risotto. I
right.
didn't know I knew how to make risotto, but I did.
Yeah, well, fresh mushrooms have been trending as like a meat alternative, and
Right.
people are becoming more choosy because they have a restaurant experience in trying these different varieties of mushrooms, and they're becoming more plentiful. Obviously, the white, which are called the button, and the brown mushrooms, and the portobello mushrooms are very common in supermarkets across the country there. However, more so much in the spring and summer times in the farmers markets and also the supermarkets, you're going to see some other exciting
Mhm.
varieties, because people are realizing that each of them have their own flavor profile. So you're going to be able to, most often than not, find other varieties like shiitake mushrooms, which are
Mm.
very popular in Asian dishes, but they can be substituted in any dish that you use button or brown or portobello in as well. Portobellos are usually thicker. They take a little bit longer to they're such a big mushroom. They take a while, a little bit more cooking time. You can also like use it as a meat alternative, as a patty, and
Burger. A
a
burger, yeah.
portobello mushroom burger there. One thing that I always recommend, mushrooms, they're completely edible when you buy them at the store. Usually you just cut off the stem. But on the portobello, if you're making a portobello burger, a good tip is to take a spoon and flip the cap inside out and take out all the little tendrils
Uh-huh.
inside of the umbrella of the mushroom there, and it will make the patty more tender and smooth. But believe it or not, the whole portobello mushroom, the whole thing is actually edible as well. So it's a flavor preference there. Did you know
Mm.
that a immature portobello mushroom, it's also called cremini, is
Mm.
an immature portobello? So if you left that brown cremini mushroom in the ground longer, it would turn into a portobello. You didn't
Okay.
know that. So
I always call them baby portobellos, but I'll tell you this, if you slice and saute even the babies or the big ones, because you can chop them up, right? If you get a big portobello and you saute them nicely and you put them into a cream sauce in a crepe, seriously. I know I have a thing about the savory crepes apparently, but it's really good. Mushrooms in crepes. And like it's there are people have techniques of doing mushrooms like in soups and yeah.
yeah.
I'm hungry now.
Also, because it's springtime at the farmers markets and some select stores, you'll be able to find fresh morels, typically
Oh,
during the months of May, April, May, maybe early June there, and that's a finder. But don't worry if you can't find them during their fresh season. Melissa always offers them dry as
mm-hmm.
well, and so this is allowing people to understand some of the different varieties, that all the mushrooms, they don't taste the same. They taste very different. Another accessible variety that you're going to see more often than not in the store now are king oyster mushrooms. And
Ooh,
one of the things that's trending on social media right now is that the mushroom has a very big stalk in the middle. So people are cutting them and using them as a substitute for as a vegan scallop. And
okay.
king oyster mushrooms, which have a very thick stalk, cut, and they kind of look like exactly that. They look like uh,
Ah,
scallops from the ocean, but this is the vegan style of it. So we're seeing that happen in restaurants across the country. Some of the other ones that you might want to look out for if you like a really refined flavor, and my favorite are the maitake mushrooms, which is an Asian
ooh,
variety. The wild version is called hen of the woods there.
ah,
Also, some of the other ones you might want to seek out. You're not going to find them in all the stores, but porcinis are delicious.
ooh.
One of the most
Mm,
delicious varieties of mushrooms, similar to that of, I would say, a morel. But also, what's becoming more accessible in stores are chanterelle mushrooms, which are very common and popular in Europe, especially in France and Italy as well. So, this
mm.
year, more than other years, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more mushrooms. And that makes for great holiday season, whether it's Mother's Day or Memorial Day.
I mean, mushrooms, sauteed mushrooms on a burger, cheese and mushroom burger with onions. Bring me in there. I'm in. And put some, let's put some peppers in there. But with the mushrooms, I think a lot of what it is there's so much talk about the health benefits of mushrooms, and people are like drinking mushroom coffee now, and they're understanding, and they're actually really good to grow in the environment. So it's a healthy plant to grow. It's good for the so it's just and it's more manageable. There's just it seems to be like people are really really going mushrooms are a good source of so many vitamins and minerals, and they soak up flavor really well. So I think on a good burger, or if you want to be vegan, and so many people are vegan, and people always go, oh my gosh, we've got a vegan coming to the barbecue, what are we going to do? Portobello burgers, and there's so many things. um and then I wanted to talk about Cinco de Mayo because I mean, we got into all these hatch products that you guys do. Oh, and we went to Hatch, New Mexico. I think I told you that in the last time we went to Hatch, New Mexico, which is fun. But oh my gosh, okay, the salsas. That sriracha sauce, that yeah, and the salsas, okay, hands down, awesome. Then you had this trail mix, and I wanted to talk about snacks because of road tripping. People are road tripping, and I know this year is going to be super big on road trips. This is definitely it's not going away. It's only getting bigger. Um, the trail mix. Now, our friends and Nancy and I, we all had the trail mix. We had a day out running around in Asheville, and we went to a wildlife center. We did all these things. We came back. We're like, we're hungry, and I said, I got snacks. Let's test the snacks, right? And we tested them on beer pairings again. Sorry, it always seems to happen with them. And but because I know there's clean snacks, and we brought out the trail mix, and they had like cashews and almonds and peanuts and they were all seasoned, nice and hot and chili fied. And halfway through, our friend Steve goes, these, like, he was like, these are really good. And then he turns and looks at me, goes, these are like this is like really healthy food. I know. I said, but you're enjoying it, right? And he goes, oh my God, yes. But he said, like, this is like high value protein, and it's like he's eating this like, oh my gosh, this is like a, super delicious. And then all of a sudden he goes, but I'm eating healthy. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. Have another sip of your beer, maybe not, but I think it is. Beer is good for you. But it was so fun to see them. And then we went and had to test the popcorn. And because you had ghost pepper, and that's my favorite. And then you had one that was kind of sweet and spicy. That was the first one because they're all like, all right, let's see.
The sweet
Oh,
habanero variety. Um,
mm,
yeah, it's a favorite there. It's almost sweet, like like a kettle corn type popcorn there.
yeah.
Popcorn is derivative from corn. So we're a company that does products that we distribute into the produce department there. And then the third popcorn, because we do three different varieties. And this seems to be the favorite because it's not, I mean, they're spicy. They're not like super hot that you can't eat them.
But
Uh,
you get a second wave. You get
right,
that
right.
second wave. Yeah.
The chili lime seems to be the most
Oh,
popular, and that's a jalapeno lime popcorn variety flavor. We carry them year round. You can go to melissas.com,
oh,
find them, or find them in your local store.
that's perfect
Yeah,
for beer for Cinco de Mayo. The chili
definitely.
lime, yeah, with tacos and I just the Cinco de Mayo, you have so many products to use. Like if and jicama, that is how I first got. I think I've said this on the show before. Jicama is how I first knew about Melissa's because if I ever got jicamas other than Melissa's, I don't know, it just wasn't it. But whenever I saw the Melissa's label, I'm like, I need that jicama. And then it first came on the show, I remember going, "You're the jicama people." Now I know you as the potato people because yeah, we haven't even we love your potatoes. The baby Dutch oh, by the way, really good for barbecue. Your little potatoes and if you do there's wonderful tacos that you can make with cabbage and potatoes. You can take and I know it sounds different, but it's so good. It's kind of more of a Sonoran style taco, I think, that does the cabbage and potato, and it's really good. You put that salsa on it, you're really going to be happy. But the jicama I use it in coleslaws, I use it in salads, but as a snack, and you can cut it up into nice little slices. You dip in a little bit of lime, and then you can put your chili seasoning or, all these different seasonings that you want or salsas and use that instead of like, a tortilla chip. You use the jicama. Do you do that?
Yeah, no, definitely. You brought up Cinco de Mayo, and uh, May is just an action-packed holiday. You go Cinco de Mayo, which is obviously the 5th of May. It's a great celebration of Hispanic and Mexican food. You've got
Mm.
Mother's Day in the middle of May, and then you have uh,
Memorial.
Memorial Day right at the end there. However, getting back to Cinco de Mayo is a celebration of Hispanic cuisine and heritage. Yes, jicama. I mean, one of the traditional things that you do is a veg spread. With the cut jicama, with cut papaya, mango. You squeeze the lime on, cuts that you made in the fruit or in the veggies, and then you top it with a little pico de gallo or chili
Mm.
powder on top to give it, it's kind of like a veg plate,
Ooh,
fruit plate before you start making, whatever you're making for Cinco de Mayo. Obviously, tacos are extremely popular. You bring up actually a vegetarian trend when you were talking about tacos, where you find tacos not stuffed with meat or beans,
mushrooms.
tacos stuffed with potatoes and cabbage as a vegan substitute, because there's always that one or two person that comes to a barbecue and can't eat meat. And they're actually really delicious. They're actually doing this with burritos as well, instead of putting, you know, your chorizo meat or whatever, using potatoes as a hearty, starchy substitute. And, it's really about the spices that you
Mm-hmm.
use, and whether you use chili powder, whether you use fresh chilies cut into the mix,
Mm-hmm.
or if you use one of our Melissa's salsas. You
Mm.
mentioned about the hatch salsa, which is really popular. Hatch chilies is a annual season that we have, because you've mentioned that as well, in August, September. However, we have hatch items that are available throughout the year, like the hatch salsa, as a condiment that you can use on a year-round basis there. But the only time to get fresh hatch chilies to make your favorite recipes with are during the months of August and September, and that's another story for summer. But coming back
I
to
want that.
huh?
I,
What?
I want that. That's all I'm gonna
Yes.
say.
And then
Yeah.
coming back to Cinco de Mayo, Melissa also does. You mentioned about one of our sauces. It's called Costa Azul. It's a sriracha like sauce, and it's a sriracha styled sauce. It's made with red jalapeno chilies,
Mm,
and it has like not only the perfect taste but burn. It's not super hot, like those fiery
mm.
hot sauces that you start crying and tearing up because they're too hot. It's kind of one of your everyday
And
hot
it's got
sauces.
flavor. Yeah,
Yes.
it's not so hot that you're not tasting anything. And we used so you've got the beets, okay? You've got the steamed beets, you've got the chickpeas and all the beans. And oh, I gotta bring up did I tell you on the show that Eva loves the beans? Eva Eldridge writes for us too, and she took your beans in the R pod. She's got a little RV trailery thing, an R pod, I think
Okay.
it's what it's called. It's bigger than a teardrop, and it's got a tiny little kitchen. And so she's like, "All right, we're gonna try these," and she is a cook. She's the one who made the upside down cake, pineapple upside down cake, with the pink pineapples that from holiday season. And she adored this. She was like, "This is so easy. They're flavor perfect, perfect, perfect." Well, I was going to say for Memorial Day and Cinco de Mayo, and for any barbecue and even for a brunch, those beets in a salad add color. You can use the red beets for Cinco de Mayo. We put it in like every salad. You put a little feta cheese, or you want to do different. Is it cojita cheese? I'm going to say it wrong. Cojita cheese. You can use that. Um, put those in your salads. It just adds color. It gives a nuttiest kind of texture. And yeah, I got to bring up the beets. It's still spring, you know.
Yeah. So you're referring to our Melissa's well-known steamed and peeled beets. These are beets,
They're good.
baby beets, already in a package, almost like a box. And the beets are actually cryovac. They're not in a juice
Mm.
or in a can. They do have a shelf life, but if you keep in the refrigerator, it would give for 3 months. But however, it does have a shelf life, and yes, it's a great, easy go-to. You can make a side dish or throw them in the salad. They're literally beets that are ready to go out of the package. We do them in both the baby red beet and a baby gold beet. So whatever you like, the full flavor of a red beet or a lighter yellow beet, you can add them and mix them together to make a beet salad as well. Yes, a little cheese, feta, whatever type
Mm.
of cheese you like. Or I've also right now, because in the spring season, Melissa's known for our Ojai Pixie tangerines. Mix the beets and Pixie
Ooh.
tangerines, and you have this sweet,
Ooh.
Tangerine beet salad. It's
And
delicious.
now I want to add some onion in there. Just saying. Now, okay, so what I did do is I do love to roast vegetables. And so I roasted, now I tried it with a little curry. Now, normally I like the chili, you know me on that. But I did both actually. I was just thinking about the last place we're at. The place of bears is where we roasted these potatoes. We had potatoes, right? And the sweet potatoes, the Japanese ones that begin with the M, those sweet potatoes are just, yeah,
Yes. You're referring to
yeah.
the Japanese ones.
I can't. They are so good.
They're
They are
also
so good.
referred to as the Mursaki
That's
Japanese
it.
sweet potatoes. So,
Mm,
you can get them either in the large regular size for a sweet potato yam, but you can also get the little baby ones.
that's the
They're
ones we
like
had. Oh my
fingerling
gosh.
potato size, and you can eat the skin and everything on the baby
Oh,
ones because they're more tender.
but they're so good. It reminds me of the sweet potatoes we would get in Kenya. So I don't know who, what, and where, how, but it took me back to food from growing up that I have not tasted in decades. And that is like one of the most, okay. So I want to talk about when we go to roasting and tacos. So I made roast potatoes. I put the beets in there at the towards the end, some
Okay.
mushrooms towards the end. So like you do your potatoes, and I put some tomatoes. I like to just see what happens. I did have asparagus, and it was a wonderful, like, here's your veggie blend, but it had the different potatoes. We love the potatoes from Melissa's. Gemstones are great because you got different colors and kids like it, different textures. Onions, the shallots were in there, the garlic, and I put the sweet potato in there with it, and the beets. I thought, let's try the beets, and it was fantastic. Well, I also took the beets. I mean, that the next morning had that like for a side dish, but we had leftovers, and I heated it up and I put it in tortillas as like a little taco, and you put a little hot sauce on that. I'm telling you, I know it sounds different, but it was so good. And so that's my new, that's a, I, for Cinco, I don't care. I mean, to me, Cinco de Mayo should be every day, period. But it's
Yeah.
just a different way, like roasted vegetables in a taco or tortilla, a burrito. You can scramble them with eggs if you want, or maybe you don't want to buy eggs right now. I don't know. But if you want a little bit of egg in there, you can. If you want to add a little, chorizo. Now, I was going to ask you, tell us about the soy chorizo, because that might be something great for barbecues, or would that be done differently?
Well, the we call it soy riso,
Well, soy rizo, that's right.
soy based um, chorizo vegan alternative. So it is vegan and vegetarian. It comes in a tube like a long sausage, but it comes out of the tube just like you would find chorizo, like ground beef. So
Okay.
definitely you can fry it up, and then mix it in with egg to make a soy riso, soy based. But it works great with our all of our Melissa's baby potatoes, like Dutch yellow potatoes and red Dutch yellow potatoes. Melissa's is known for their Dutch potatoes. We even do them purple, but of course you can get a pack with all the different varieties of colors and shapes, and but they're all
Mm,
small. They have a very short cooking time. That's the one that's called the gemstone potatoes that you brought
okay.
up there. Yeah, you put that all together and you have a breakfast burrito, soy chorizo, soy based. Tastes like chorizo, but it's soy based and it's delicious. It's our best selling meat alternative. As Melissa's is known for doing these items because we actually do soy taco. We also have a whole line of tofu, which is another meat alternative that has protein, that is soy based. And this is something that you would find in produce departments across the country with the Melissa's label in it.
Very cool. Very cool. Because I know, we're spring, we're trying to get healthy. We've got, beach weather here now, and depending on where you are. So we got to, we got to do something somewhere. Just saying. Before you go, I wanted to ask you about fruit, and because what is something that is in season right now that people can look at that would be something unique to have on their tables for May going into June?
Definitely the Ojai Pixie Tangerine is my favorite pick right now. These are tangerines grown in the Ojai Valley, right off the coast of Ventura in California.
Beautiful.
They have a great microclimate, allows for sunlight to be on these trees. And it's a late season variety because you would say most often than not, this time of the year, we're getting towards the end of the season. But that's when the Ojai Pixie Tangerines begin. They started in March and they go all the way until mid-June this year because this year is a bumper crop. And I say that is the best
Oh,
tasting fruit right now. But if you're a grape fan, I would definitely recommend Melissa's Muscato grapes. We offer
mm.
them in red and green during the spring seasons. There, they what looks like a regular red or green grape is a little different because we take, even though they look the same as regular grapes, they taste just a little bit sweeter because these are grapes that are crossed with wine grapes, like a
Ooh.
Muscat grape, and so what looks like a regular grape tastes sweeter and crisp, as you would love to have in every grape that you try.
Mm.
Here's a tip on finding fresher grapes. Look for the vines that are green. If they're brown, they've been sitting out for a long time. They're not going to taste as sweet and not be as crisp.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
buy grapes with green vines on them.
I love it. I love it. All right. So now I know you're going to be back on Big Blend Radio with Linda Kassam, the food, wine, and shopping diva. The first Saturday of June is when Linda has her episodes here on Big Blend Radio, and we're going to be talking about picnics. And I love that because it is to me, every day is a picnic day. Every day is a Cinco de Mayo to me too. But picnics, I'm excited because we can talk more about the snacks as well that you have. I do want to give a big shout out to those little mini crepes that you have. Oh my gosh, they are so good. They are these mini crepes filled with a little fruit like the mango. Oh my. For road trips, these are perfect for kids. Um, and they're just that was a sweet surprise. I was wondering about those. I was like, I don't know. Then I had one. Nancy had one. We're like, oh wait, a little bit of a pick me up, and you get to that 2, 3 o'clock afternoon, you kind of thing at work. It's time for a mini crepe, and I love the peanut butter clean snacks. Those are good too. So yeah, there's a lot of snacks that we're going to talk about and other great, fruits and deliciousness for picnics. So looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Robert. See, I said Robert for joining us again. It's always a pleasure and delicious.
Yes, thank you, Lisa, for having me on. Always
And
love to
every
food with you.
I was going to say, everyone, melissas.com is the website, and the links in the episode notes. I'll put some links for recipes for crepes and things that we've been talking about. And also some of the past articles we did one about, the barbecuing. There was a couple years ago, but I know those products still work and still there because, they're fantastic. So we'll put some of those links in the episode notes. Well, thank you and happy brunch in May and Cinco de Mayo. I like this. Celebrate May with Melissa's. Thanks for joining us here on Big Blend Radio's Eat, Drink, and Be Merry show. Keep up with our podcasts at bigblendradio.com and our magazines at bigblendmagazines.com.